Good evening, folks. It's Pom, live on the Team Pallatrax page. I look like Nanook of the North because it's freezing here at the moment. Not great conditions at the wonderful Les Quis. So the live feed tonight hopefully is coming through because we have struggled to get signals. I can see a few people. Sorry I'm late. We forgot all about the time difference and then we got that wrong as well. So hence why I'm holding this at the moment while Sue is going to get the right attachment because we got that wrong as well. So as always, total chaos. Good evening, Jack. How are you doing, my friend? And we do have a star guest this evening. We have young Robert Bob Hodges, who's one of the owners here at Les Quis, and he runs the fishery as well on a day-to-day basis. So he's here to talk. Hi Trevor, about all things. Andre all the way from Slovakia. How are you, my friend? Hope you're getting better, mate. Hope you're getting better. Fantastic to see all those fish coming out on Crave over there as well. Colin Cannon, Darren, Jack's all good. So a few people popping in. I know it probably won't be that busy tonight because we're not back home and we haven't had time to promote it and things. Hi Larry, good evening to you. So hang on a second, we're just gonna put this on a thing. That's a technical term for what Sue's doing. Oh, look at Sue, you can see Sue's motorhome behind you. Right, let me just move that around. So it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze here because Sue and Bob are going to get him real close. And but like I say, any questions? Matthew Rice, how you doing? No, Matthew, I never found my kettle, but good old Sue had a spare one. So Mark, how you doing? Steve Thompson, Paul. That's actually what I'm going to start off. We'll get a few more names in, sorry, a few more people in, and then Paul's brought up a subject which hopefully you'll find interesting. I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to be constructive about what I do within fishery management and one thing and another, so that'll be something on the cast. But if you've got any questions, folks, whatsoever, I always believe there's no stupid question unless you answer it time and time again and get the same answer. So anything, you should never be embarrassed to answer a question, and we're here. Hi Steve, how you doing, mate? See you had a nice curry the other evening. Top man. There is a normal raffle competition. It's for 5 packets of grips. So what you've got to do, it's just a free, we call it a raffle, it probably isn't a raffle. All you've got to do is say yes, send yes. Hi Wayne, hi Gary, to the Pallatrax, this main website, main Facebook page, the messenger thing. That's right, yes. Yeah, I always get the Pallatrax messenger page. Vince, all the way from Canada. James, how you doing? Who's that? Good evening. Stop posting these catches. It's making me jealous. Yeah, well, it's been interesting. We're going to have a good chat about that. But I'm just going to cover this one off quickly because there's quite a few people here now. Firstly, like I say, there is a raffle. So 5 packets of that revolutionary new hook design. It's not new now, is it? So many people are using it. The grips. All you've got to do is send yes to the Pallatrax Facebook page, okay, not to the team page. Natalie, how are you doing? I hope you're very well. Please come and visit us soon. Pete, Seam Bernie has added method mix to the pre-order bait at Les Quis. I wonder why. I wonder why. Did you manage to get the lures out? Not yet. I'm going to be quite honest, I'm actually over here. There is an element of work, unfortunately. So hopefully tomorrow me and Sue will have cleared the deck. We've got more filming with carpology coming up. We've got some other stuff happening in the pipeline which is really exciting. So but no, then Vince, I can assure you, young Bob has lent me his super duper lure rod, and I'm going to be staggering around the banks trying to lose some weight. Who's that? James, how you doing? Tom Upton, how are you doing, sir? Hope your family is good, mate. We will catch up. We're going to have to get you out here next year, Tom. You need to be coming out here.
I'm a bit upset he's not here, Tom.
Bob's just saying he's a bit upset you're not here. You cruel, evil man. Gary King, are you having a try for the bass in the Bay Lake? We were actually talking about Bob's got one in the tank in the lodge, and they're lovely looking fish, and there's, I think, what did you say, put 800 in the Bay Lake?
Yeah, 800 in the bay.
But nobody's, like I say, nobody's fishing for a lot of the species here. You know, it's very, very much focused on carp, which is fine. But if you want to fish for other species, you can. You know, and they've got zander here. I've never ever fished. My ultimate aim here is if I could catch a zander. I'm not at all knocking the fun of carp fishing, don't get me wrong, but I've never caught one. I've never been even fished for one or been on the water. So that is one of my little targets. So I will hopefully have a go. But has anybody fished for the bass yet?
No one's had a proper go for them.
No, nobody's had a proper go. So I might spend a whole day, if I can. Go on, flick a fly out. Yeah, I would do. Not the wind we've had, but it's all now really freezing. Hi, Robert. I see you fishing again. Good man. So don't forget, if you want to win the prize tonight, it's free to enter. Just send yes to the Pallatrax Facebook Messenger page. That's 5 packets of grips. So I'm just going to cover something quickly because Paul asked me about this. I have to tread carefully sometimes. I'm not here to bash or one thing, but I've got since I had the fish kill at my lakes, it kind of opened my, Rusty, how you doing? Yes, good to see you back, sir. Jamie Sayer, he's here, and he's beat his personal best 3-4 times so far. It was on about talking, and I'm not going to get into names of companies or anything like that, but certain additives being added to things that give you an explosion of colour in the water. Whether I would be happy with those going into my lakes. Yeah. What I would say, and this is just me personally, and I've had that experience, you reap what you sow. Would you want anything that you don't know where it's come from? I mean, when I've talked about bait historically, would you put in bait that's got no food value and rots and therefore can contaminate? Well, no. So that's why the rules at Ashmansworthy pools are just to protect the environment and give you healthy fish to and that, when I say the environment, the whole biomass, all the invertebrate life and everything. So when there's some of these, obviously, I will call them chemicals because they are chemicals. Would I put those into a fish tank? So if you had a fish tank or a nice pond in your garden with a load of expensive koi or whatever, would you put things in there that you didn't really know what the impact, even of a small amount? So for me, it's a no. I don't know where they come from. I don't know their full ingredient makeup, and I don't know what would happen long term, or say somebody knocked a whole bottle in or whatever. It's nothing against the trade. It's just perfect common sense when you run fisheries. It's like Bob's been here a long time. They've got diffusers. They've got, they're really selective about the baits that go in here because a lot of bait goes in here. If it's bad, it's going to cause problems. So, Wayne, how you doing, mate? You all right? Who's that? Steve. Looks like some of our team are having a great day. Congratulations very much. Yeah, no, we've. I'm just going to very, very quickly finish that off for Paul there. So that is the reason why I wouldn't let anything without me having distinct knowledge go in there. Because in fishery ownership, fishery management, fish care, water quality is the most important thing. We can talk about unhooking mats, we can talk about this, that and the other, but unless we're looking after the environment they live in, we're not doing the job. Goose, we're one is in nutritional value, however there are many types that have different ingredients. Like I say, I'm not talking about particular brands, in all honesty, James. I'm involved in the industry, but all I'm saying is, for me, my thoughts, which is obviously aimed from Paul, was would I allow it? And I'm saying no, but not just that. Anything I don't know where it's come from, how old it is it going to be of any benefit? Might it not be a benefit? Certainly. So you're not going to do it. And no, hi Neil, Rusty's just mentioned as well, I've heard, whether it's true or not, and I don't want to spread anything, but the kind of dyes, they use them in, or historically, I'm not saying the ones of today, and I don't know the ones of today, but the allegations historically, again, they might not be true, was these fluorescents were used the same kind of dye that was used in drains. So you put the dye in there to find a leak, because the leak would come out. So for me, it's nothing about anti-trade or anything like that. It's all about safe, secure, sensible fishery management. And I'm sure Bob will back me up on that in a second. Exactly, James. Exactly what you just said. Leak detection. So I'm not going to be here. I'm going to pass over to the wonderful Sue. She's going to show you how she beat her personal best today. We're fishing, obviously, what we know is the system, so it's consistent. If you see, you know, lots of fish have come out for such dire conditions. It's like now it's clear, Baltic, flat calm. Earlier it was, you know, it was all over the place. So we and because most of us are fishing what we call the stone system, so the consistency of everything, that's what's doing, you know. And I think, is it 5 people have beat their PBs?
Yeah, I think so.
And they call Les Quis the best chance in France for a reason. You know, it's a wonderful. I don't come here because I like Bob. I don't like you, Bob, by the way, as well.
I know that.
No, it's fantastic. You've got everything you need, and if you want to, you know, hop on the coach and you haven't fished in France before, I'm not saying it for any other reason. Is I come here because I enjoy it. The fish are good. The people are really, really nice. Good facilities. So I'll give them a little bit of a plug here. Do have a look if you want to go to France, especially, you know, when it's everything's covered. You know, it's not a surviving drought. The food, you know, is outrageous, to be fair. So Tinny Pomeroy, my darling wife. Hi Lee, how you doing? What's that? Just bagging up the next batch of LQ Jungle. There you go, living the dream. All right, Paul. So yeah, anything else, mate? You can always PM me. Beanie, how you doing? Yeah. You need that hat. Yeah, I've had a haircut. Beanie's moaned out. I've shaved everything off. Yeah. But I love you, Bob. Gary King loves you. All right. So
I've been waiting to meet Gary, haven't I?
Well, there you go. You will at some stage. So
he threatened a bit of a fish off at one point.
Oh, a bit of a fish off. So yeah. So I'm going to pass you over to Sue initially. Bob's going to come and perch in where I'm perching, and I'll stand back and let these fine people have a chat with you. But anything, you know, like Bob's been. And again, I hate to say this, but he's actually a very, very good pan species angler. And that's no word of lie, because he's got the pictures to prove it. And he hasn't got an ego or arrogance in his body. So, but he would more than happily. And that's what I think, again, down here at Les Quis. If you ask them where to go, you know, where should I be putting my baits? How should I be fishing it? They'll tell you. They want you to catch fish. So notice he didn't answer about the eggs. If you don't know, I'm in season at the moment, or they're in season, should I say, is Easter eggs. So yeah, I feed on Easter eggs this time of the year, and it's quite good now because they bring the little mini eggs out all year long. That's the problem, it's glandular. So evening, Anthony. So without further ado, me talking rubbish, I'll pass you over to Sue and Bob. But do ask any questions, because like Sue's come out, she's beat a PB. We've been around taking photos and films of other people. And Bob, like I say, it's my information, not just about Les Quis, about fishing in general, so whatever species. So I'm out of here. It's been wonderful. I'm going to go and sit right next to my rods, which are just there. It's really good because the swim we're in, we can, you know, we're there, right there. So and if we get some action, well, it's don't know, it's possible, isn't it? The bites have just come out of the blue, and we're getting, like, you know, I hit 2 beats this morning, Sue hit 1 beat this afternoon. So the fish they're not, you know, not showing, they're not like bolting off or anything. So yeah, we're just nicking a fish here and there. But I will just shout out one thing for Adam. Adam's within the Team Pallatrax setup, which you're more than welcome to join. It's a free initiative. It's no agenda. It's just lovely people getting together, having a nice time. Very busy Facebook page. I've lost my train of thought, you see.
Adam, Snails,
oh, Adam, yes. So we have these team exclusive products that, in all honesty, they're so expensive and difficult to get. I can only put them through the team. And it's obviously an advantage for the team, but we have these snails, which is, we rehydrate and do various things with them, but they're not Vogue, because it's not a boilie or a pellet, they're not Vogue. But he's come over here and he's had 8 fish.
I think
8 fish, and I think 6 of them been on snails. So anyway, I'm out of here. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for so many people popping in. Finally, last thing, there is 5 packets of grips up for grabs. All you've got to do is send yes through to the Pallatrax messenger, and we'll tell you at the end of the evening. So I take it you talked to Tinny about that, have you?
Yes.
Tinny, you still there? Oh,
yeah, Tinny, are you watching?
But if not, we'll get that sorted. But here's Bob and here's Sue.
Hello.
Should we squidge over a bit?
Yeah, I think we might have to.
Not a problem.
To be fair, This is like the biggest chair in the world.
Should we move the camera back a bit?
We should both fit in there, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Seen some sweets.
Oh,
God, here he
Pom's
goes.
in the sweets. There's a surprise.
Evening, folks.
Evening, yes. Beanie, you said there's a rod in the picture. The rod's here for a reason. Just to talk you through, obviously, how I've been fishing today. So it's not very complicated at all. Literally, it's a running stone through to my size 6 wide gear Q rig. On there I've got this one is a multi-worm boilie that I've trimmed down. I then take some of the paste that I've put different powders into and literally wrap that around. It's getting cold. And I don't care what shape it is, I just want to make sure it's nice and tight on there. It also holds the herring, you'll see.
And the pure reason for that is obviously that gives off a lot more attraction, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And it gives you that double breakdown. Once you trim the skin off the boilie, it breaks down quicker.
Sue, I think you need a booster seat.
I think I do
just see
need...
your head
Well,
at
to
the
be
top.
fair, you've put a booster seat on that
the
one,
wrong
and this
seat,
is
yeah.
the low
It's
seat.
really short.
Yeah, but I'm in like it's like an infant. I feel like I'm at infant school. It's that small.
I'm being chased.
Uh-oh.
By the wife?
No, something up there.
Cards.
Oh, a cards or hopefully a cut up.
Oh, good thing there.
Could
So then
certainly be.
literally, if you can see, the method has got crumbed out. It's got some of the maize that they obviously free feed here. We've been feeding maize, some of the pellet. There's some pellet, you'll see there. Hopefully, some multi-worm. There's multi-worm in here as well. This is carp crush, but it's got extra. We've put some daphne and maggot in there as well. Can you see that?
No.
Hopefully. So that's what we've been doing. And then for me, one of my favourite tricks is the booster sprays. And this is the wild crab. And
What's
I've just
that?
been giving her a little bit of a... Just swallow a bit of wild crab. I'm sure that's good for you.
That'll sort your chest out.
Yeah, that'll sort me out. So literally, pack that on nice and tight.
I'll catch it a bit.
And then the only other thing I'll do is I'll get a little slither of PVA nugget and just close the gape of the hook off just to make sure that's anti-tangle. I'm clipped up to where I'm fishing, so I've got 2 rods tight in to the far margin that's about 100 yards, and then you're going to move this rod for us now. Good man.
Saying that stinks. That
Yeah, it
wild
does
crab.
stink.
Yeah, that's
Shouldn't
a
really
nice
have done that. That
potent
wasn't
smell,
really a
isn't
good idea. So yeah, 2 rods to the far margin. It's about 100 yards, give or take, and then 1 rod out basically to a gravel spot in open water. That's about 13 wraps, and so far I've had fish from the gravel and from the far margin. That's where my PB came from this afternoon. So, which was one of my targets for the week, but not
It's always
not my
nice
main
as well, isn't
target.
it? When you can pick fish up off of multiple spots.
It
gives
is.
you a bit of confidence that there's more fish to come.
Yeah,
Like Pom said, the fish haven't been that active, whereas last week the temperatures sort of soared. They hit sort of low 20s.
yeah.
There was a lot of fish moving around, and then all of a sudden the guys turned up on Saturday.
Yeah.
The temperatures plummeted, and it just seems to have taken a little bit of an effect on the fishing and the fish activity. But even still, I think so far we're on sort of 26, 27
Yeah.
fish for the week. Like Pom said, 5 PBs already broken Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
You can almost write off Saturday as well, can't you? By
Yeah,
the
well,
time it
everybody
takes
was
to
kind
set
of
up
exhausted by the
yeah.
time after the
Well,
drive,
it's all right
and
for
once you
you,
get
you've been
set up.
swanning around
Yeah,
in
I've been
Europe
swanning,
for a while.
swanning
Yeah.
around Europe for a week, so I'm fine. I was the only one fresh, I think. Although to be fair, they did keep me up pretty much all night with the group chat as they were all coming across on the ferry
Oh
and
yeah,
everything.
everyone,
So
mass
that
excitement.
was, yeah. So, but yeah, I think most people just kind of chucked the rods out last night.
Yeah, I got the gist of that talking to everyone sort of Saturday dinner time that no one had really
Yeah.
even fished yet, and then This morning at breakfast, everyone was saying, "Oh, I just sort of chucked them out a bit willy-nilly just to get my head down and get some sleep." And first day proper fishing today, and yeah, there's been some great results already.
Yeah, there has.
And I think as the week goes on, it's just going to progress and progress. I think the fish will wake up more and more as the week goes on, and people will sort of adapt their fishing to the circumstances they're fishing in, with a little bit of help from myself and the rest of my team on site. We're here to help people catch fish. That's something we pride ourselves on here at Les Quis, is that we're here to help. I hear it a lot of times in other fisheries in France that people aren't willing to help. They keep things secret. Everything can be a bit cliquey. But the way I see it, if I can help someone do what Sue's done today, catch a PB, it makes their week's fishing experience fantastic. Something they're never ever going to forget.
I have to say that, having been here a few times now, that's one thing that really makes it stand out, is how much you want to help people, and you'll help as little or as much. If people listen, like we always say, if you come in here, listen to what the guys tell you. They know the spots, they know how it fishes from week to week, they know what bait's working. It's even down to things like cast intuition. You guys have
I spent an hour
like,
with Anton this morning, or just after breakfast, and just trying to help him make sure he can hit the spots that I know will produce fish for him.
He reckons he's gone backwards.
Cheers, Pom. And I believe Pom even asked myself just now when I popped down that he wants half hour tomorrow of my time just to try and put that extra little bit of distance on the cast.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same.
Oh no, definitely. And like I said, we're here to help. I want to make sure everyone gets the best out of their week.
I just need to add, because there's a whole debate going on there. I apologise, I always call them PVA nuggets. They're not. It's maize. It's a maize starch. It's not PVA. So it breaks down, and literally out of a full nugget, I've probably got one in my pocket.
You got a Blue Peter, have you?
No, I've not.
I will go and get one.
Pom will go and get one, and we'll show you what we use. Because literally out of the nugget you can get about 6 little bits out of that. It's just a tiny slither, you can literally see through it. It's just that extra protection, just to make sure nothing can get sort of tangled or snagged up on anything. Stephen Thompson, last time he was at Les Quis was 1994.
Crikey, I think I was only 2 years old then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Steve's saying there, 1994, I think these guys started up the fishery in 1992.
Yeah.
So I think this is our 32nd or 33rd year.
Is it the oldest in France?
It's the oldest commercial sort of
Yeah.
English style fishery in France. So the first guys to start off bringing English anglers over on an organised trip. And like Pom said, I mean, this week we're sort of on the self-drive basis, but we pride ourselves on normally sort of organising the whole trip for everyone. So we run a coach from a pickup point in Kent, and we take out all the stress and confusion for everyone. For people that have never been to France before, a little bit uncertain about driving in France or where they're going, how to get there, all you've got to do is book on our system. You go to a pickup point in Kent. We've got a secure car park with a restaurant on site, which is really handy. You meet all the guys, and you can sit there, have a social, get to know everyone, get on the coach and turn up here nice and fresh in the morning. So we run a 54-seat luxury coach. All your gear goes on board. We've got a big trailer, so it's not tight for space or anything. And it takes away all the stress of everything. Like some of these guys, I think one of the guys was really nervous about driving over here, and it gets rid of all that. But I know obviously on the other side of things, some people like driving themselves, so normally at the start of the season and towards the end of the season, we do still offer the self-drive option for people that want it.
It's like Blue Peter. Pom's our handy assistant this evening instead of Tinny. Although I have to say, Tinny doesn't make brews. I'm a bit disappointed. Instead, all he's doing is raiding the sweet tin.
Yeah.
So these are the little PVA, not PVA, cornstarch, and all we're doing is literally cutting. I can never cut it as thin as Pom, but I'm getting better.
Just to shout in there, the thinner it is, the quicker it dissolves.
So it starts, that's out of that, so you can see there's loads more, and then you just squish it down a bit. It's kind of cigarette paper style. Give it a little lick, And then boop. If I show you that, you see, just close the gate with the hook, and you can even trim it right down, which I must admit I've got into the habit of doing, although I normally just rip it off with my fingers if I'm honest. But you should be able to see, you can actually see through it.
So what's one of the main reasons you do that for? So is that just protect the hook point?
It's just to protect. It's no, for me, it's just that extra bit of knowledge that I know that's going to go down without tangling on anything or getting caught up on anything. So it's,
for me, I find the ground bait helps with that as well.
It does, definitely. It's just that extra.
So one thing that
protection.
some people might have seen if they do follow our Facebook page is obviously this week we are letting the guys sort of have a good crack with the ground bait. It's a tactic that I know works on the site. And basically that is going to go live on the site, I think, from tomorrow. Hopefully if Tom's still there, this is a little heads up, I've got a little bit of work for you to do.
And Tinny, if you're watching,
and Tinny, if you're watching, start prepping some ground bait up, because I think there's a few people on next week's trip already interested. They've obviously seen the guys' results on it this week. And I think a few people are interested, and for me I think it's a great tactic. I think, as Pom mentioned in one of the videos of Tony's fish, that a lot of people say, oh, you can't catch big carp using the method. Me and my old man, for one, will argue that to the death, really. Some of the biggest carp I've ever caught have been using the method. I think it's such a good tactic, and then basically you're creating a parcel of bait inches from your hook bait, and it concentrates the fish into feeding on such a tight spot, and it keeps them coming back. As that ground bait breaks down, all the fine particles are seeping off into the substrates and the bottom of the lake and in amongst all the gravel, and it keeps the fish feeding. They'll keep coming back looking for that, and eventually they find your hook bait and pick it up, and you know they're never feeding far away from your hook bait, and I think it increases the chance of a pickup dramatically. So it's something that I'm definitely looking forward to see this year. One thing to bear in mind, just for people that are looking at maybe coming here in the future during the summer, we do have obviously a few nuisance fish, and the roach and poisson chat become more active. I think it will be a sort of an early season tactic and late in the season tactic. I think it will really be effective. Not saying that it won't work in the height of the summer, but it'd definitely be saying, especially at the start of the season, this time of year, sort of towards the end of April, mid-May, that deadly tactic that I've caught lots of carp on it. It's right.
Yeah, for me, with the method, I much prefer it, and it really is all about those ingredients that are in it. I know a lot of people talk about, it's method. There's a sketch that Pom showed me, which is hilarious, about pie, and the ingredient isn't pie. Pie isn't made of pie, and method mix isn't made of method mix.
No, just another note for me. I won't just allow any method mix. And like Pom said, with his own fishery, we don't just allow people to throw in whatever they want into the water, because at the end of the day, this is where our fish live. And if you look after your water, you're looking after your fish. Like Pom said, it's not just about unhooking mats and good nets and things like that. Obviously, we need that to be at the best quality as well, but the water quality is
the water's the air they breathe, isn't it?
It's their environment, and you've got to look after that. So for anyone that is sort of interested in the ground bait, you can't just bring your own ground bait. It will be strictly Pallatrax ground bait that we provide on site, because one, I know Pom, and I know all the ingredients that go into his bait. So it's like you're saying, with the pie isn't just pie, is it? And the ingredients are so important.
I mean, I think in the Daphnia and Maggot, there's 40 different ingredients go into it. I'm not sure on the carp crush. Pom will have to tell me. I don't know where he's disappeared to. Can't see him behind the lights.
Yeah. Pom, what we got in the carp crush?
Now you ask me.
Yeah.
I know it's 40 in Daphnia and
Maggot.
Maggot.
40 in Daphnia, 37 in carp.
Thank you, there you go. 37 different ingredients in the
And they're all designed to do different things, and like Bob said, it's all about giving the right thing into the fish tank, not the wrong thing. So it's all about the ingredients.
And from what I understand from talking to Pom over many years, it's in the case if the fish don't eat it, that bait breaks down and it feeds the substrate to your lake, and eventually it then in turns feeds your fish anyway. So sort of the last couple of years we've really pushed home the whole thing, and we went our bait only. Sue's had a bit of an occurrence. What's that? No?
Oh, I do. It's me far margin.
Oh, that's worth an
And
investigation.
since everything's only going to want big.
I'll come back.
Oh, Tom's going to come back and join me.
I've got the coat on now, and I'm eating Sue's sweets. Sue's got a great big box of sweets. You know.
Yeah, definitely,
Blimey,
James.
where am
It's
I?
definitely becoming more common that people are bringing in their own sort of their rules regarding what baits people can use, because I think over the years, and Tom would agree, you see a lot of fish kills, don't you, on certain venues, and especially big commercial venues where people are just allowed to throw in whatever they want, because I think bait's given a very sort of wide spectrum of it. Oh, it's bait, it's fish bait, it's fish, and it's not actually food, is it?
No, that's the thing is, you know, and again, it's not a poke at the industry. I'm sure there's some very good companies out there producing some really holistic baits. But it's the ones that don't are the problem for fishery owners like me and Bob.
Yeah.
If you don't know what's in it, and you don't know if it's like a food, not a food source, it is a food source, you don't want anything negative going in. It's like I say, it's not a poke at anybody.
Well, for prime example there, Simon, I think I had it once
Call
where...
Simon.
Yeah, it sounded a bit
You're feeling-
informal, yeah. But no, so we've had it before where... So at first we were fresh baits only. So to try and get around, because we don't believe in the whole preserved baits, and the fish can't get out of preserved bait what they can from a fresh bait. But then certain companies, like Pom said, we won't name names, but they were putting preserved baits in a freezer, calling it frozen bait, because technically it is frozen, but it's not a fresh bait. The fish still can't get anything from it, which meant we had to take that step a bit further and say, right, from now on we're only letting people put the bait in the lake that we provide, because we know exactly what goes into it, and we know the fish are getting the best out of it.
Well, if you think about it, and again the common sense factor, I suppose. Yeah, they call me cynical Simon, but I've had the fish kill, so you've got to question everything, assume nothing. And just because a bait's cold doesn't mean it's good quality. And I've talked to loads of fisheries, and in all respect to them, you know, the impression or the narrative by the trade is if it's frozen, it's better. It's only going to be better if it's got better ingredients. If it's cold, that's irrelevant.
Doesn't change anything, does
But
it?
no, exactly. You know, I mean,
No, one of the things I used to see as well when I first started here is when people could bring their own baits, and you know, from mine and my dad's fishing, we used to
come in.
be a
I
massive
know
stickler
you're a
for good ingredients and good products, especially in baits. I think it's one of the most important factors when it comes to fishing. But people would say to me, oh, I'll get this really good bait, it's £3 a kilo. And I think, well, you can't put them two sort of statements in the same sentence, because you can't make a good bait for £3 a kilo.
It's like Zwalla. I used to go to Zwalla show, and people literally we're missing a few things here. But hi, Les. Just quickly, Les, talk of the devil. I'm just about to try that. The stuff you tried at Pallatrax in my old lakes, Ashmansworthy, and had 7 fish out really quickly.
That's the CC Moore one.
We've missed a few. Like I say, if folks, again, no disrespect to anybody, we're not here to trade bash, so we don't get involved in other companies, because to be quite honest, what we're doing, and Bob's one of the first fisheries that have gone, yeah, that all makes sense, and you're already seeing the benefits, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think I've been lucky enough, Pom, to know people like yourself and sort of have the knowledge that you've got to look after your water, and
like I said,
in
I've always
turn
said
it
it's
looks after
like
your fish. If you've got happy fish, people catch more fish. It's that simple.
But it also, and that's what I think we're seeing at Ashmansworthy Pools. It's like if you look at me, I eat sweets and Easter eggs, and I'm not in any fit shape because I eat junk.
Catch you on a mini egg though, wouldn't I?
I don't really like cream eggs. I'll have them at the last resort. But
Finish sweet.
so, like say, it is all down to the water quality. And I always say, as anglers, we're ambassadors of the environment. We've got to make sure that the trade and people out there are understanding the narrative that we've got to be like fish farmers. We've got to look after that environment. And like Bob was saying, if you've got a food source there that goes into the waters that the fish, because fish eat on cycles and various other things, if the biomass are eating it, it's almost like you're fertilising the biomass to give them healthier, because you cannot give them anything better than their natural food sources. They without a shadow of a doubt, that's where they get the main benefit.
That's why you struggle to compete with big natural sort of bloom, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it happens.
when they're on the Daphne and things like that, you know, you just well give up, in all honesty, because they're swimming around, breathing in like food, because it's this tiny water flea, and every time they're breathing in, they're breathing the food. And because they've got a digestive tract, they haven't got a stomach where you can fit loads of Easter eggs or anything like that. It's just literally what it is. So, where are we going? Ingredients similar to that you use to find leak. Oh, we're talking about things. Right, I'll move on from that. Right, look, Sue's back. She had a beep, so I'm going to get out. Simon Pomeroy, the last resort is in my peg. To be fair, just Amy, Bob's wife, the food here was absolutely awesome. But when I came last time, Amy hadn't cooked any brownies or biscuits or anything. I was mortified. But me and Sue, we've managed to have a way. There they go. That's for dinner later on. Little midnight snack. But anyway, I'll pass you back to Sue. But like Bob says, and we're so correct in this, it's not an arrogance or anything like that or overconfidence. If you don't look after their water, they've got nothing to breathe. And where we're proud as fishery owners is the fact if you're feeding something healthy, they fight better. Do you want a fish to fight better or not?
Yeah, not only that, I just really believe in if you've got happy carp, they eat more, so people catch more.
But it's got to be food. It's all about the ingredients.
Yeah,
right, I'm out of here. Thank you, Sue. I kept it warm for you.
Thank you.
I nearly ended up on the floor, mind. But
So did I, don't know. Good job you weren't following me. I'm back with several more layers on because the temperatures dropped a little bit.
When I left the lodge, it was.
Do you want a jacket?
Terrible. No, I'll be all right.
You sure? I've got one in the
he's got
bag.
loads of fat on him.
So have I, but I'm
Thanks,
still
Bob.
cold. Not like friends, is it? I'm sure. Just to pick up on something from me, a lot of people always seem to say if you're fishing for big carp, you need big baits. And I've found a lot of the time my best results have been on small baits.
I can say the same myself because
yeah.
one of my biggest carp out of here was actually on a seriously small bait. It was during the winter. I was actually targeting a different species. Like Pom was saying, I don't just target the carp, and I was actually tip fishing, trying to target some of the roach and rudd, and managed to hook into a 57 pounder while using 2 maggots on a size 14, which was very interesting. But yeah, luckily,
Pallatrax?
of course it was.
Oh, just checking.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, but no, that was quite exciting. And all throughout the winter, I'm doing things differently to most, fishing small particles, and I find myself doing it mid-season as well. Obviously, week in, week out here, the fish are getting really pressured, and I find myself doing something quite different to sort of the majority of the other anglers. And I'll go completely the other way. I'll fish single grains of maize. I'll fish really small pop-ups, cut down to sort of 6 to 8 mil, so it just sits on the back of the hook. And yeah, I've had some great results doing that, especially when the fish start to get a little bit finicky. Start of the year, mid-season.
Yeah.
And yeah, fine down everything. I often sort of base my angling on what would a match angler do, because I think the match anglers are a cut above most carp anglers.
Well, yeah, they're the ones catching
fish.
consistently,
they
aren't
have
they?
5 or 6 hours to catch as many carp as possible.
Yeah.
And normally their motto is, if nothing's happening, you refine everything down. You go lighter, you go finer.
Yeah.
You go smaller until you can work out what they're doing. Now, obviously, you have to be responsible by doing that. You can't be using £2 knives and size 20 hooks for fishing,
that's not
fishing
ideal.
for great big carp. But you can tinker with things slightly and just ring the changes. I find often that people sort of have one idea in their head. They start with that. If that hasn't worked, they have nothing to fall back on.
No.
So you have to keep ringing your changes. Another reason why I love fishing the method, because I often find that when the fish are there and they're feeding on your ground bait, you're getting indications, you get little bleeps, and if you sit there watching your rod tips and your line like I do, you're getting your little nudges, and if you're not getting a pickup, you think, right, okay, I might be getting something slightly wrong. What can I change to get a bite quicker? Even if you are getting bites, I'm always trying to improve my catch rates, and you can't do that by just doing the same thing over and over again. So I'll start tinkering and little changes, hook baits, colours, length of your rig slightly and things like that, just to see if I can find something on the day that gets me 2 or 3 more bites, or just 1 bite instead of no bites. And I found in my own fishing that's produced some really good fishing experiences and good hits. Just ringing little changes and just finding something all of a sudden on one of my rods or I've had 2 or 3 quick bites, and then all of a sudden I can do that on all 3 rods, and it turns a okay session into a fantastic session, or a really tough session into
reverse,
a blank
sometimes you can put it onto all 3 rods, you're smashing it, and then it just stops.
I've had
you've got to change again.
No, I've had it where on sort of the weekend something's been working, and then you get to the Monday, you think you've cracked it,
and then
the conditions change, or the fish for some reason, and I'd love to be able to know why, but you can't say you do. They change what they're doing slightly, they change how they're feeding, and you've got to do it again, and you can't just say, well, this worked 2 days ago, so it's going to work again. So keep bringing your changes. I find in my own angling that you've got to stay active. I think carp anglers can be quite lazy at times. We've all been guilty of it, sitting there chucking some rods out, sitting down having a bit of a social and a chat with your mates. And
I think there's almost a bit of like you almost get frowned upon for not just putting your rods out, leaving them for 48 hours, and you've got to be carpy,
all your rods
and
together, and place
and all that,
to the water.
all that malarkey. Whereas I like to sit and watch me rods and
no, definitely. And there was a
not
little
watch me
tactic that I might
and
touch up on with Pom at some point, where we'll put it up. But there's a little system which we use called the dough bobbing, and it just gives you that sort of insight.
Which I must say,
tiny little indications.
the first time I came here, your dad showed me that, and it is amazing. You get the smallest indication.
Yeah, the amount of times I've had it, you're getting little indications, like I said, that you wouldn't normally see. You wouldn't get a bleep on your bobbin, or you wouldn't get a little pick up on your bobbin, but these little bobbins, dough bobbins, they just move, and you go, well, there's fish there, but I'm not getting a bite. So again, you go, right, what can I do to get a bite? And that's how you let yourself know, right, okay, I can change something here that might save me a blank. And
I think it's that sometimes, like, Pom had a fish today on 2 beeps, I had one on 1 beep. Well, both of mine have only been 1 beep, one because it ripped it straight off the alarm. So, but a lot of people wait. It's that I need a screaming run.
I've heard a lot. I've waited for the bite to develop.
Yeah.
And you go, well, no, what's happened? It's already happened, and it's long gone.
Yeah.
There's actually one of the guys that comes out who's got the fantastic name of Dropback, which came from anything happening today, mate. And he went, oh no, I had a drop back. And then I waited for the bite to develop, but it didn't come, so I left it. So it started off as bleep bleep, drop back, leave it, which got shortened to drop back, and it's still been that 6 years down the line.
But it's like people fishing tight to a, you know, like we're fishing to that far margin. You're going to get a drop back.
Yeah.
Because the fish can't go through.
And not only that,
they can't go out the lake.
Yeah, the fish are kiting.
Oh, they kite,
well. So that one bleed.
Yeah.
That fish at that
which
range,
is exactly what that big one did today. It was one bleep and it was kiting right, and I was watching me rod tip, and it was.
Well, I can remember one time me and my dad
were
actually fishing at Simon's Old Lake down at Paddington, and we were sat there sort of in between mine and my dad's swim, and at one point he went down to his swim to do something. He looked at his rods and he went, I didn't cast there. And the fish had kited 30-40 yards, and we hadn't had a single indication of it. So that's when we decided we've got to actually try and how do we improve bite indication. And that's where the whole dough bobbing came into it for us. And it was not
sorry, just to jump in, explain where you put it, because we can't show them, but you haven't explained what the dough bobbin is.
Yeah, so basically what it is, you can use a ball of paste, or I often use a sort of a boilie or a squab that I've soaked up in water, make it soft, so you can sort of put it on your line above your rod tip. And you want a slight angle from your rod tip. Say if that's your rod tip there, you almost want a slight angle. You can't have it straight down, you don't want it too straight, but you make a little drop system here, and the bobbin's in front of your rod, and then you get little pickups on this. And the reason it's so much more sensitive is because as line passes through rod rings and bite alarm rollers to get to your bobbin, it's creating a lot of friction on the line, so you miss out on tiny little pickups that you wouldn't get there. But obviously because this boilie here, there's no resistance, and you get tiny little lifts. And like I say, use a ball of paste, we can use sometimes a bit of bread, just any sort of weight in front of your rod there. But it's about getting the angle, and what we'll do, at some point we'll set it up and we'll put a picture up on the page for anyone that's interested.
We'll do a film because it's an edge.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I never knew about
the thing I like about it, Pom, is it keeps you active. I think it stops you being lazy, because like you say, we can all be guilty of chucking rods out. They're on bite alarms that tell you when something's happening, so you're not paying attention to it. Whereas I'm always a fan of sitting there watching, seeing what's going on, and while I'm out there looking at that, if you do see a fish roll or something like that, you're aware of what's going on, and all of a sudden you go, right, I'm going to put a rod there, and it can produce more fish for you, even still. No.
It's like that old argument of, do you cast a showing fish, or are you going to scare them? Now, for me, I always cast them.
Oh no,
And
definitely.
I've had some crackers from doing that.
I think
Old PB was.
I think one of Jamie's fish came on the first day from casting at a showing fish.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the PBs that he caught.
Yeah, because
I
I think pretty much going to say, I think every fish he caught was a PB for a while.
Yeah.
Bless him.
No.
How cold is it now? It's quite cold. Can you not tell as we're sitting huddled like?
And yeah, Steve Dorset, very similar to the swing tip principle.
Yeah.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's bitterly cold.
It is bitterly cold. Are you sure you don't want to?
It's dropping into the
jump
minuses. No, I think I'm going to have to.
You're going to have to do a runner because you're getting in trouble.
Yes.
Because we said, oh, do you want to do the live with us tonight at 7? But it's UK 7, not
Came down here
not
at 7, all ready to rock and roll, and Pom was all tucked up in bed.
This is obviously stupid on my behalf. My bad.
Dear me.
But I think one thing that we did also mention as well, I think a lot of the guys have already had a great trip. We're only on the Sunday, but one thing Pom did mention, I think we'll chat about with Pom and the team at some point, is trying to organise another fish into the complex later in the year. And I think if Pom, we can put something up to see if we've got any interest. We even spoke about offering a coach trip, which I would put a discount in for the team. And see if we can get another group of guys out there just to experience what French carp fishing can be like.
Yeah.
I think some people get a little bit overwhelmed by it at times, but to be honest with you, it's very, very similar to what we're doing back home. I don't think you've changed many tactics, have you?
No.
The only thing that I would say you do differently is you just slightly up your feed content. Obviously, we're fishing for a lot of big fish. So the amount of food they can get through is obviously a lot more than you would back home.
But I'm exactly the same as home. I start little. I've just trickled bait in because you can put it in, but you can't take it out.
100% agree with that.
But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of fish, and they're big, and they'll eat a lot. Especially if you feed in, because they get fed on maize, don't they? That's the supplementary
so through
diet.
the winter they get fed on maize. I've just started another feeding program through the winter, to be fair, as well. So they've started to get a few pellets to get them, and it's actually got a vitamin boost in that sort of gives them a bit of an immunity boost before the start of the season, because as the water temperatures rise, parasites and things like that are common in the water, they're quick to wake up before the carp's immune system. And again, it falls back to what Pom's saying, it all falls down to fishery management and making sure the fish are healthy. Healthy fish are happy fish eat more food, and they get caught more, they fight harder, they look better.
Give you happy anglers.
And happy anglers, and which is what we're all about here at Les Quis, is making people happy. We're in the industry of making people's dreams come true, of catching that PB and taking all that stress away. And I don't know what you think about it, Sue, but I often consider this complex as just a little slice of England, really.
Yeah,
you wouldn't really know unless you left the complex. You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. No, you wouldn't. I mean, literally, you've even got UK plugs.
Everything,
everything's here to make life easy for you. To the fact where even if you need stuff from town, these guys.
Because like I said, normally we run the coach trip. It's a bit different for you guys. You have your own cars. You have a little bit of freedom. But I'm going uptown to sort of get the shop in for the dinners and the food and bits and pieces. And if anyone needs anything, then we're more than willing to help out, and we'll go that extra mile to make sure you have the most comfortable and enjoyable week possible.
And doing things like towing people's camper vans out when they get stuck.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
I remember that happening once to someone. I'm not sure who. It's like this big bluish grey camper van, a bit like that one.
Yeah, we've had some fun times. Yeah.
So, but no, they do. If you're worried about coming, honestly don't be. It's a fantastic venue to come to, and they're so helpful, and you can learn so much if you want to while you're here as well. Which is, for me, I'm one of those people. I love learning more. I want to get better all the time, and every time I come, I pick.
So, I mean,
I think you're always learning.
I've been lucky enough to sort of be involved in the industry through my old man, really.
Yeah.
And fish with some of the so-called names and the big names in the industry when I was young, and get this massive sort of pool of knowledge which I've been able to pick things out of. But I still think every time I go fishing, it's a school day.
Yeah.
You're always learning and adapting. Shotgun.
It's cold.
Oh my God, Pomeroy, why would you tease me with that?
I thought you were an Eskimo.
Yeah.
That's just...
No,
kettle
to be
on.
quite honest, I put it there because your dad told me about these.
Oh, yeah.
Proves every day
Top
is school
tip.
day when you're winter fishing.
If
But
you're
we
winter
got bad
fishing and
back.
you're cold,
It's a bot bot.
yeah, get
It's
a
a
hot water
must.
bottle.
It's a must.
But
Best-
actually
the
put
best-
hot water in
the
it.
best
This,
six- the
I
best
put
six
hot
quid you'll ever
water in
spend.
this lovingly last night at the pond, and it's freezing now. So
It's cold. What's gone wrong?
yeah, so that's a cold water bottle. Really good in the summer if you're too hot. Easter eggs on the list for Pom.
I'm actually, just to let you know, folks, at Ashmansworthy, because it's ours, we've decided to have our own currency. So you can buy stuff, but it's all in sweets and cakes.
That's in-
Cheesecake,
Yeah.
lemon
Ooh.
cheesecake with clotted cream.
See, I'll be New
50
York
kilos.
cheesecake. New York cheesecake, like a good
Oh,
baked
it's got to be proper,
cheesecake.
maybe a quark. I'm not interested in rubbish. But obviously this time of the year, chocolate rabbits,
Yeah.
Yeah.
any form of eggs, as long as it's white chocolate, don't do dark chocolate. So yeah, new currency.
Any form
Just
of
an
eggs.
idea.
I'll bring you half a dozen eggs.
Yeah.
I think I've got half a
Free
dozen in the
range,
van. What can I get for them? Now it sounds like you're having to pee. He's emptying his hot water bottle for the people on the camera.
But I did notice there's a few people that would be interested in maybe trying to organise another fishing. I think you take.
I'll put
take the lead on that now,
I'll
don't
put
you?
some
So-
I'll put something up onto the team page, and we'll look at what we can sort out for later in the year, because I think I'd love to come sort of.
What colour pop
know.
up for zigs I've just seen pop up there, and I think that is a very, very broad question, because zig fishing is such an imprecise science, so to say, and it changes hourly. I think not just daily. And again, I think it's something you've got to be very active while doing. I wouldn't just bang a zig out there, say with a yellow pop up, and think, oh, that didn't work, so zigs don't work. I think you have to keep ringing your changes. You've got to change your depths and also change your colours. I've had it at times where yellow seems to be working, the next day it will be a dark brown, and then white the day after. And then other weeks I've had it where you catch on yellow or white all week. And I found
And it depends on the
lake,
depth of water and everything,
yeah, and I think
doesn't it? 'Cause
sometimes the conditions above, the sky colour
Yeah.
and things like that, to silhouette.
what berries
silhouette.
happen to be floating around on the water
Yeah.
and stuff like that they're eating
I think
naturally.
on here, zigs are very deadly at times because the fish are so used to hitting baits on the drop. And when people are spotting baits and using throwing sticks to put baits out, the fish are hitting baits on the drop. And I think that's because more often than not, they're safe baits. So not many
Yeah.
people actually use zigs that often. A lot of people will go, oh, I put one out for an hour or two, but didn't get a bite, so I've gone back to fishing on the bottom.
It's funny, isn't it? People will fish on the bottom all week without a bite, or
That's
for
big-
48
big
hours
Aaron's
without a
just
bite without
popped in.
thinking about it. But a zig, if they've not had anything in an hour,
Yeah, they
the
lose
best
confidence in it
change
really
that.
quickly.
Yeah.
And I've had some really, really big hits on zigs on there. But I also remember a time I had fish shine over my spot. I was spotting maize and a sort of a selection of different boilies, and they were rolling on my spot, and I couldn't get a bite. And I tried ringing the changes on the bottom. I tried pop-ups, wafters, cutting my baits down, 2 or 3 baits on the hair. Nothing was working, and so I thought, right, okay, I've got to go to zigs. I was fishing in 14 foot of water. I went onto the zigs. I started sort of at 9 foot. I think it might have been 10 foot. Give it an hour, kept on feeding over the top of it, nothing happened, took a foot off, went down to 5 foot, didn't get a bite, so I went back up, changed the colour again, and eventually I got a take at 1 o'clock in the morning at 7 foot on a yellow pop-up. And I can remember thinking to myself, how the hell have they seen a yellow pop-up mid-water in pitch black?
All about the smell.
And all of a sudden, I thought, well, I've got to go back to that on my other rods as well. And then I went from getting no bites to getting 3 or 4 takes a night
Yeah.
on zigs and yellow pop-ups. And they had to be in that range from sort of 6 to 8 foot, but 7 seemed to be the optimum.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I couldn't work out why that was. All I know is it was working for me.
Yeah.
And it ended up for me catching a few fish that week, which can turn a week round.
But I think zigs are very much a lot of it's growing your confidence in.
Yeah, I see Simon's just put up their foam is banned, so it's pop-ups only.
pop-ups only.
Yeah, so on the complex here, there's no artificial baits at all. No plastic sweet corn or anything like that. There's even some companies that have the sort of plastic sweet corn hair stops and bits and pieces. The pure reason for that is if you do happen to crack off with an artificial bait on, that rig is always effectively fishing, so a fish can pick up that and and be trailing. Whereas if you crack off with just a straightforward bait on like a proper bait, eventually it is going to break down. So if a fish doesn't find it, as soon as that bait's gone, that's just a bit of more line on the bottom, rather than an effectively fishing rig that a fish can pick up and potentially harm itself on. And again, it all falls back down to one of our main points of fish safety.
Yeah. So, I've seen fun spam pop-ups on there. So, regarding water quality, are disposable products harmful? It depends what you mean by disposable products. Some can be very harmful. Yeah. The
thing is, I find with most pop-ups as well, is they're not actually food value per se. So the fish aren't really eating them, but they will break down.
Yeah.
So most pop-ups, I find that they are acting as a lure.
Yeah.
The fish aren't actually eating them, so they're not doing any harm to the fish. But obviously, as a pop-up, as it comes off and breaks down off your bait, the worst that's going to happen, it's going to float to the top and drift away.
Yeah. Aaron Good say maybe you should take your top off. Yeah, he looks.
No,
really
that's in
warm,
private, just for you, Aaron. You know this. I thought we were keeping that a secret.
But it's also, when you talk about pop-ups and things, I get really annoyed when I see people taking a pop-up off and throwing it in the water.
Yeah, I see it a lot of times.
like,
Like, why would you do anything like that?
Yeah.
Another thing that annoys me is plastic packaging.
Yeah.
And we said at the start of the week here on the complex, we spend all winter cleaning up after people that have just disposed of fag butts, bottle tops.
Yeah.
The amount of hook packets, empty hook packets, and fishing
Tea
tackle
bags.
paraphernalia,
Yeah.
where people take something out and they go over the shoulder. And I think, like Pom said, we should be looking after the environment more than anyone, because it's the environment that's giving us our enjoyment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you never meet a carp angler that leaves it.
No, none of them say they do. But
No, but every week we do. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that does jar us, especially as fishery owners and
yeah.
the management side of things. That I think we just all got to be a little bit aware of what we're doing. To make sure we look after the environment that gives us our pleasure.
It takes no time to take a little zip
Well,
top.
I've noticed this week,
thing
I've been
or
really
a bag
impressed, to be
and-
fair. Everyone's got a rubbish bag hanging on the
Yeah.
side of their bivvy. And like you're saying here, everyone's come up to the lodge for breakfast, for dinner.
Yeah.
You're walking past the bins every day.
Yeah,
It takes
exactly.
2 seconds
Yeah.
to take your bag with you, put your bits in the bin. We provide bin bags on the site for everyone. And little things like that. There is pet hates.
But on that, you've got to actually remember to take it. Like today, I got my bin bag out to take and left it at the door of my bivvy, so it was still there when I got back.
Oh, very
So
nice,
it'll come up for breakfast. So, Beanie's just saying put pop-ups in the bin every time, and the same with cigarette ends and tea
I've
bags.
just seen Steve Dorset's put a really interesting comment up there.
What's this? Present.
Oh, thank you, Pom.
Yeah, but it's a special.
Oh,
Special one. And he's going to nick that in about half an hour, I
Yeah.
reckon. But no, Steve Dorset, I totally agree with you there. So one of the things that we do, almost bagging waggler style, is fishing with a controller float and fishing down to them. And I've had some great success doing that. There's even been times where we use little spoms with a helicopter, sort of like free-running helicopter off the back of that.
Yeah.
So you're baiting up as your bait falls down through the water, and it's almost that moving bait effect. As that hits the water, sometimes you're waiting for the ripples to clear to see where your controller is, and all of a sudden you just see your line tightening up,
peeling
as it's
up,
peeling off. And it's a very exciting way of fishing. So no, Steve, I
love
like the
that.
fact that is sort of coming to your own fishing, and I love adapting things like that. And certain commercials I used to fish back home, I've had some really fun days fishing bagging waggler sort of style, but just slightly upscaled so you can hit longer ranges for the bigger carp.
Yeah. People are saying it's quick to put in the bin bag and chuck away. Matt Rice is saying his pet hate is pop-ups in the margin. Yeah.
Floating feeder does the same. Yeah, we used to. I think my old man was actually one of the first people that I've ever seen sort of do it, and the match hangers were quick to sort of cotton onto it. Was what we called the method float, which was basically a floating a method feeder. then Stevie Ralph, who happens just to be fishing in No Carp Corner. I think he lost one last night, unfortunately, but like he's making a point, it is a holiday as well as a great fishing experience. So we are sort of in the hospitality industry, and we make sure that everyone has a great week's holiday. We sort of
you go above and beyond. I can honestly say that, and I'm not getting any perks or anything
Stevie
like
Ralph,
that.
for example, I don't know if he can put a comment up.
For...
how many trips have you been on, Steve, so far? I think it's a ridiculous amount, and yeah, I think
I was talking to Steve earlier, and I think he was saying, what was he saying? Was it? It was over 20 years he's been coming, isn't it?
28 years.
28 years,
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
28 years.
28 years he's been coming. Yeah, and he's only 30
There we go.
years old.
So 77 trips this is. This is number 77 or 78 then. And Steve can say for himself, he's had some fantastic fish out of the complex.
Yeah.
He's actually fishing one of his favourite pegs on the old lake this week. He's in No Carp Corner. He's had some great hits out of there in the past, and he was gutted last night. He dropped a fish because it's known as a bit of a big fish corner, No Carp Corner. So he was a little bit wounded this morning, but all of his bites, he was actually here last week helping me get the complex ready and sort of what we call the clean-up week. And the bites on the old lake have been coming some sort of past midnight to early morning, sort of 12 o'clock at night to sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. And Aaron, that was on here earlier, he was here a few weeks back, had some lovely fish out of Koipu, and again we found the bites were coming early morning. Whereas on the Bay Lake it seems to be a bit more sort of throughout the day. Long Lake as well is a bit more of a day venue. It does change throughout the season.
I mean, we were up most of the night last night. Pom had a fish.
That's because you're snoring.
Yeah, that was my story. Well, to be fair, Steve lost one at about 1:30.
Yeah.
Then I had a bit of an occurrence, but there was nothing there. Hit it and there was nothing. Then Pom had a fish about, what did we say?
4:45.
4:45, I think. And then I had one. Literally, we just put Pom's fish back. Came up to the van to put the kettle on to make us a cuppa and warm up, and literally my rod peeled away to the point where once I got it in the net I was like, right, you need to go and turn the kettle off in the van because I can see steam coming out the van.
Yeah.
So
and yeah, James, that is very similar to fishing the bubble float like we were going on about earlier, and basically it's just a way of getting a weight to get your bait out there and fishing from the surface down. And I find it a little bit more proactive than just chucking zigs out there and leaving them there.
Pom's making
He's got 2 mugs.
Well, it's mercy upon. I think I'm going to love
I've
you
just
and leave
made you for this.
Is that for me?
Yeah,
You just said it
yeah.
was for you.
He's working his
What,
ticket.
how many sugars?
One, please. Yep, James, that is one thing that we do. So on a full week we take 24 anglers. So how it works here is one of the lakes we normally keep as a sort of a separate booking, which is the Bay Lake, where Jamie and is it Adam's fishing. They've already had some great results this week. But so on that lake there's actually 9 pegs for 6 anglers, which enables people to move around if for whatever reason their swim isn't producing. There's always a free peg to move into. And on the 3 lakes we take 18 anglers and there's 21 swims. So again, plenty of opportunities to move around. So I think this week we've got 14 anglers on the 3 lakes.
For clarity, every swim has masses of water.
It's a conversation me and Simon were actually having earlier. There's a vast amount of water in every peg. And the reason for that being is if you are sitting in a swim for a week, it gives you multiple options. And I always like having a plan B. So I'll normally start my week off with my 3 spots that you sort of fancy the most, but then I've always got a plan B to fall back on. Like I said earlier with my rigs and tactics, I also include that into my spots. So I'll pick another 2 or 3 spots within my swim and think, right, I can keep pre-baiting. And I've got something to fall back onto. If one of my spots isn't producing, like for you at the minute, you've got 2 spots that's produced you. One of them hasn't at the minute, but it means then, right, I've got a spot pre-baited 2 or 3 days into the trip that I can think, put a bait on that. And more often than not, when you do that and you do it properly, you put a bait on your spot and you get it results in a quick bite.
The other thing here is you really encourage people to go stalking.
Yeah, it's one of
you
my.
know,
It's
and
such an exciting way of catching big fish.
and when you look at the amount of fish you guys catch by doing that, it really shows. I mean,
Yeah.
the first fish I caught on the float ledger system was last year down at Ashramsworthy Pools. And I literally became addicted to it. I've always loved float fishing,
Oh,
but
can
I've
you imagine
never.
doing that for £60.
Exactly. It's like there's just something about fishing on slightly on a bit lighter gear, but it's still geared up enough. Even for here, I've come and I didn't bring, like at home, I use a 175 test curve to. Here I bought a 225 because I was a bit.
Yeah,
I thought
Well,
then at least I can still
I
still give it a good chuck.
I like a soft rod.
Yeah.
So my day-to-day, what I call my day-to-day carp rods are a 2.25.
Yeah.
And when I go and do my float ledger sort of setup and system, I'm fishing with a 1.5. And it's actually a little bit of a gripe I have within the industry that they sort of push very heavy rods on people, especially in short rods, so sort of like 8, 9, 10 foot rods in 3.5 pound test curve.
Well, you're getting I've seen 4.5 pound test
Yeah,
curve
exactly
now,
that.
and
And the way I see it, that's a boat rod. I
Yeah.
think I could take them shark
Yeah.
fishing and feel happy with handing sharks on them and not carp. And
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of a reason to do with mouth damaging carp.
And I
with
think
people
it's why a
using
lot of
stiff
people
rods.
lose fish at the net.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's got no.
Yeah, it was actually something that me and Bernie, one of the owners, spoke about this year. Was we even did speak about the potentially of banning rods under 12 foot over £3 test curve.
Yeah.
Because, like you're saying, they're very stiff and unforgiving, and when
Yeah.
these big fish get close to the net, you've got less stretch in the line, which sort of increases that less forgivingness.
Yeah.
And when you get a big heavy head lunge, if the rod can't absorb that, you're bumping the fish, and the only way that's happening is for ripping the hook out the fish's mouth,
Yeah.
which I think creates a lot of mouth damage in big fish.
And it takes a lot of getting used to using a really heavy test curve rod. Like I've fished out in Thailand quite a bit, and you're using
You feel so
5.5,
much more
6
of it
pound.
on your arms
Well,
as well.
and
don't
it's
you?
like
It pulls.
when I first went, my brother had already been once, so it's all his fault. And I went out, and literally the way I equated it, I'm like, it's like holding a lump of 3x2 wood and trying to cast, because there's just no, you can't compress it properly.
No.
There's no giving it, but then you get, £100 Mekong or whatever
it's all
else on, and
relative,
it's
isn't it?
it's bent double,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
it's all
horses for
relative.
courses. It works, but it takes a lot of getting used to, and I wouldn't dream of like it. It's a bit like
It'd
putting
be
your
like
carp
using
rods
it
out,
for roach.
for roach. Where's
yeah.
there's no, for me, there's no fun in that,
Yeah.
and it's also it's no good for them. I mean,
Well, Aaron, that was on here a minute ago, while he was over here, I took him over the Bay Lake for a day, and we were using £1.25 specimen sort of quiver tip rods.
yeah,
Using small stones set up on the stone system, running rigs. And when you're hooking carp on gear like that, I've never seen someone smile so much.
No.
Because you just watch this rod hoop round, and it's more
Yeah.
than capable of dealing with the fish. It's all about the weights it can cast. Now, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I wouldn't be using a rod like that if I wanted to cast a method ball 100
No.
yards, because it couldn't handle it.
No.
So for me, a rod is more, it's a tool for a job, and for me it's all about what I can do with that rod. If I'm going to fish to a far margin like in yours and Simon's swim here, I'm not going to
Yeah.
do it with a rod like that, so I need a rod that can handle the capability of putting
Yeah.
a bait where I want to put it. But if I'm fishing under my rod tip, like with the float ledger
yeah.
system,
Then
£1.5 to £2.5 test curve
Yeah.
rod is more than capable. It's so much more forgiving. You lose less fish on it.
yeah, and that battle is it's a much better fight.
Oh, you can't beat
feel
watching that
everything.
rod
You've
bend
got to
over.
really go with the like. I remember hooking like the first time we did it, we went up onto Charlie's Pool, which is mainly sort of low doubles, but there's a couple of big fish in there. The first fish Pom got was, I think, about 16.5, 17 pounds, and then I got one that was nearly 21 pounds, and literally as I hooked into this fish, Pom gets up with the net, and then after a minute went, yeah, I'll just sit down, that's going to be a while, because but it
Here's an
makes it
interesting-
such
yeah,
good
but
fun.
An interesting sort of, if you look into the physics of actually how you can do it, believe it or not, you can pull harder with a softer rod than you can with a stiff rod, because it's like anything. It's like the old sort of bag, the 1 kilo bag of sugar thing. If you hold it here in front of you, it's very easy to hold a kilo of sugar. Arms and length, all of a sudden, after a little while, it gets a bit, oh, this is a bit tougher. Put that on a 12-foot stick and try and pick that up, it's very difficult. So with a 3.5 pound test curve rod, your point of contact with the fish is actually 6-7 foot in front of you, because the rod only bends to a certain point and then it doesn't go any further. With a softer rod, that point of contact comes closer and closer to your playing hand, and all of a sudden, as that rod gets to its test curve point, you're playing the fish closer to you, but the rod's absorbing all the head lunges and the pressure on the fish. And I actually think it's safer for the fish, but trying to convince most people to go carp fishing with a 2 pound test curve rod, and they think, oh,
but I think as well,
tench fishing or something.
like, I started fishing as a little kid, same as you, and we all started fishing for multi-species on light gear, and you learnt to play a fish on a really little tiny rod on 2 pound line.
And being younger and hooking a fish when you were fishing for roach or something,
Yeah.
hooking into a carp,
And going,
potential or a bream. And
like,
but you learn how to deal with that
yeah,
situation.
you do. But I think now a lot of people
They miss out on that
bypass that.
phase.
They never do that, so they never have like kind of learn to play fish. They're learning to play fish, playing really big fish, which is not ideal.
I see a lot
you
of
go
people
into a
out
tackle
here
shop,
missing out on catching some fantastic fish because they're using quite stiff rods.
Yeah.
The slight inexperience and just lack of knowledge, and people want to know and they want to learn, but they've been slightly led astray by some faces in the industry saying you must go and buy these 3.5 pound test curve rods, big pit reels, to go and catch carp, when it's not actually necessary. But when them big fish get near the net, you're super excited, you want to get the fish in the net as quick as you can, and like I say, in that last minute head lunge that sometimes the fish do, all of a sudden think you've bumped it. And you've got to have what me and my dad have always called soft hands.
Yeah.
So you've got to be slightly forgiving with the fish and respect the fish for what it is, whether it's £10 or £60. For me, you've got to be respectful of that fish.
Yeah, when it wants to go, you've got to let it go.
Yeah, definitely.
And you don't net it till his head comes up and it's ready.
I'm
and
getting
you know,
chased again. So
yeah.
I think
Bob's going
this
to be
is
in
me,
big
guys.
trouble. I think
Like I
Bob's
said,
gonna
I
have to
think
go.
we're going to. I think we'll leave it to Sue to sort of put the feelers out.
Yeah.
I know the guys this week have already. I mean, it's very early to sort of for most people, but I think there's some people very keen to get back out there. And I think from what I've seen, there's a couple of other guys on the team that would be interested in getting out if possible. Through my connections with Simon and Pallatrax, we're open to do a bit of a team discount as well for our association with Pallatrax. So we'll try and organise something maybe to the back end of the year.
It'd be brilliant.
Definitely do something with this time next year again, at the very least.
I'm a big.
But we'll put the feelers out whether people want to do a self-drive option or if we run the coach.
Yeah.
But me and Sue we'll try and work that out at some point.
We'll.
But everyone, I hope you have a good evening. Hope you can get out there and catch some fish at some point.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Not a problem.
And for
And
all
be
your help.
lucky tonight, guys.
Well, thank you very much. I'm
sure there's
will
going to be some other carp out
gonna
across
be
the
a 40
complex
out.
tonight.
Thank you very much, young Bob.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
I'll just dive in.
Yeah. See you later. Cheers, Bob.
I'll just pop back in, keep Sue company.
Back again.
We've still got quite a few people here, which is
have.
brilliant.
Tim
now-
Hodges. Now his dad's phoning us.
That's his time,
Yeah.
sorry Tim.
Yeah.
But there we go, thanks for your time Bob. Yeah, I mean, he, honestly, you know, old head on young shoulders.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm, 57, I know I look a lot younger, but I'm going to have a casting lesson.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Yay!
Sorry, time lag there.
Yeah.
Because as soon as everybody's pulled off now, there's only 12
Yeah, there's
people
only
left.
12.
So yeah,
Everybody's
just
given
to
up.
finish what Bob was saying, you know, the bloke knows so much, and I always look at watercraft. The first point of me, watercraft, is speaking to the people here. And I know Bob actually gets quite frustrated because, and it's not meant to be in any way disrespectful, but they're desperate for you to catch fish, and they do, you know, they'll spend time with you. It's almost like having, you know, personal tuition. So, and again, like I said right at the beginning, I'm not here just because I know Bob and Tim and the rest of them. I'm here because it's a fantastic fishery in France that more and more people are hearing about, and the tag is the best chance in France. So obviously there's some other fantastic waters out there. I'll probably have to say that for some reason or another, but no, you know, I thoroughly recommend it, and the facilities, everything. But the discount we mentioned, you have to be a team member, but don't forget it's free to join the team. There's loads of benefits like that. So but thanks ever so much for keeping us company. Thanks Sue, thanks Bob again. It's been nice to have somebody of his knowledge, and honestly his knowledge within the trade as well. He's been, long story, but he's been involved in the trade for, you know, 20 odd years, and he's only 30. So so yes, so we'll keep you updated on the team page on that. So the idea is we'll look at potentially a coach trip down here probably in October. They'll do us a deal, but we're definitely having one. I've already booked it for this time next year. So yeah, you're right, Steve. I mean, he really does. And I have to blow his dad's trumpet from that. You know, Tim Hodges, his dad is the ex-editor of Advanced Carp. He's run fisheries and he helps here and worked in tackle shops, worked in the industry, advertising, things like that. And you know, Bob is just an incredible angler. I'm not saying that because, you know, we're good-ish on a good day kind of thing. It's just, yeah. And his brother Matt, they're both
and
very
his wife,
special.
Amy.
Yes,
she's a hell of an angler as well.
So, yeah. But anyway, we're going to go and have, well, I made coffee, so we might have to have a chocolate brownie.
We might have to.
And yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for spending time with us. Yeah, he is, James. He is a really nice bloke. You know, he's very humble. He doesn't. I mean, he
kind of shies away, doesn't he? From
a couple of years ago, he had a 57. You know, because I fly fish for carp, and Bob used to come down to my old fishery, and he really got his. And he had a 57 pounder on a size 14 hook on a fly rod, and he got it in. I mean, he's very good angler and very humble. Doesn't really promote himself. So yeah, so that's Les Quis. It really is a good one. But again, lots of other topics discussed, which is great. Thanks for your time, and I'll be back again. Are you back with me next week? You'll see, Sue's kind of moved in. But yeah, I'll be back on the team page from 7 o'clock normal time, not confused time.
No, not confused.
On the team page next week. The competition, unfortunately, we will draw it, but obviously I forgot to tell Tinny to draw it. So, and obviously that's my phone, so we can't do it. So what we'll do is we draw it and we'll put it up on the page who's won and make sure that they get that. All right. Any fisheries local page for Pallatrax members? Not really, John. It's something we're looking at now. We're getting associated with more fisheries, predominantly because they're understanding that the whole drive behind Pallatrax is that fish kill, and look at that. Therefore, that need to look after the environment. So fisheries is like big fishery has just gone stones only. Fishery in Thailand's just gone grips only. So you know, Top Cat's fantastic fishery, which we've got a fish in. Anybody interested? We've got a fish in there in October. Me and Sue are going, and that's Thailand. You know, Top Cat's amazing place, and they're using our bait formulas. They're using our hooks. They're using our gamma line, which is on another level. So. Watch your space. Lots of things happening, folks. So, anyway, it's a good night from him. Only asking for Lord. Done. All right, okay. I'm not too sure, like I say, but I'll just pass you over. Just twist it around with Sue. There you go. So Sue says good night.
Good night.
And congratulations to young Sue, £35 UPB. Congratulations to Jamie. You. Congratulations to Tony for his £40 12 ounce. Oh, he was so emotional. It was absolutely wonderful seeing him. And dare I say, it was on the stone system and our baits. But anyway, good night, folks. Stay safe. Thanks ever so much for coming in to see us. Good night.